Hello and welcome back to the Day Luna Human Design Podcast with your hosts, Dana and Shayna. Today we are talking all about reflectors. Finally, we love reflector energy. And honestly, for every reflector listening, you do not get enough attention in general, like in the human design space, in the world, in your family, probably. Like there is so much wisdom and insight that we can all learn from you. And following our reflector guides and connecting with reflectors in our life has been something that has been amazing for us and incredible. So we're really excited to be sharing our recommended reader with you today that is a reflector. I'm so happy that we have somebody on our team that is a reflector. So, yeah, reflectors, we love you. We see you, and your time has come. Sorry this was so delayed. Once again, perpetuating the projector waiting the lunar cycle. But you know what? It just happened because of our retreat and everything like that. So, yeah, your time has come.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to dive into this episode because so much of the time in the human design space, what we hear about reflectors is that very generic, like you're everything, you're reflecting all the different things. But, understanding what is consistent about you as a reflector is so powerful. So, something that we talk about in this episode when we interview Kristen is the importance of your profile. And that is so crucial. I wanted to highlight it here. Kristen's a 2-4, and as you all know, Shane and I are also 2-4s. But no matter what your profile is, it's a consistent aspect in your design that you can really lean on. So if you're getting tired of hearing you're everything, you reflect everyone, you change every day, and you're like, yeah, but what is my purpose? How am I meant to show up in the world? How do I find my ideal clients? How do I share my message? A lot of those answers come from diving into your profile because your profile is the line expression of your four most consistent gates. So even if you don't know too much about human design enough to go into your gates in depth, learning about your profile will tell you consistently you are here to show up with this energy. So focusing on that, reading about it, really allowing yourself to have an identification with that consistent aspect of your design, I feel like can feel so good, in contrast to just knowing that you're meant to change all the time, which overall, of course, that is true. But there are these things in your design, like your gates, like the profile line expression that is consistent for you.
Yeah. And having a reading is powerful as a reflector. Getting a reading by another reflector also is powerful because they're able to reflect back your chart to you in such a way that I feel other types can't because they see things in such a unique way. And every single reflector that we've ever met is so different, of course, but it really is shocking. I think that sometimes when we think of reflectors, we think of like the sage or the mystic or like the unicorn butterfly. And I've met so many reflectors that are just childlike and joyous and creative and kind of um all over the place, but in a very colorful way as they're meant to be. And it's not so much about, okay, let's sit down, let me really, whatever, guru you, which I think a lot of times we think of when we think of reflectors. So I just want to encourage you to know, that you don't have to look like any other reflector that you've seen. And of course, that is obvious, I guess, if you're talking about like you're everything and you're nothing and you're reflecting your environment all the time. But we look towards these guides, towards people on a podcast or towards people that we follow that we're like, oh, they're a reflector. And we can see ourselves within that person, right? I do it with other projectors, I do it with other people that have a similar design to me or who work in the same field as me. And really, I just want to plant the seed that you as a reflector are not meant to look like that other reflector that you follow or you are literally meant to look exactly like yourself and to be exactly like yourself. And what that really means for you is going to depend on you and your ability to have non-attachment, your ability to feel and to notice what you're feeling, your ability to let things go and to notice what is hard to let go, and your ability to understand your chart. Honestly, human design is one of the most impactful things for, I always say, reflectors, projectors, and manifestors, because there's so many things in our designs that are not, collectively normal or talked about or acceptable to society. So, understanding your design and the nuances of like, what are your sun gates? What's your cross of incarnation? What is your profile? How does that really play out in your day to day life? All of that is going to be so grounding for your energy and give you something to kind of latch onto, but not in a way that confines you, but in a way that really helps you steer your ship, steer your magnetism towards where you are meant to be going in this life.
Yeah, I love that. And one of the things we wanted to bring up here that is so important for reflectors to be practicing on a daily basis is that non attachment aspect. So, as a reflector, your self theme, your signature theme is surprise. You're just kind of open to whatever life brings you, to whatever your new environment and the people you're around brings up for you or through you in a very embodied sense. So, that openness, right? Energetically you are open to other people's energy, you're absorbing that energy, you're taking it in, but also having an open heart, an open awareness of like anything could happen, and life is always going to bring you something beautiful and surprising and new. That's your ideal optimum state. That is the state where you are in alignment. So the opposite of that openness is actually trying to attach onto things, trying to hold on to things, trying to label things and then identify with what you've labeled in your life. And that leads to not self as a reflector, which your not self theme is disappointment, right? You hold on to something, you believe it's there, you attach yourself to it as part of you. And then when it changes, you almost feel like your bond with that thing or your bond with yourself is broken. And it can lead to a lot of disappointment on a really deep level. So, as a reflector, I feel like this is something that we all can learn from reflectors, but reflectors are like the one leading the charge with this. It applies to you most. Being non attached to things, but allowing yourself to go fully into experiencing them. And that's a really strong polarity or like dichotomy there, right? Allowing yourself, if some new person comes into your life and they bring up this new passion for you, allowing yourself to go 100% into experiencing that passion with that person, learning that thing and just diving into who am I when I'm obsessed with this thing and what does that feel like and what joy and magic is it bringing into my life, but not then saying because this hobby or this passion or this interest came in, now I identify as that being a part of me or part of my personality trait. And it's sort of a fine line, right, between fully letting yourself experience something and go there with complete openness and enthusiasm, and then slipping into now I'm labeling myself as someone who has this passion forever. And once you've done that and you said, now that this thing has come into my life, this is a part of me, when you get over it or life brings you something new, you can slip into that not self of disappointment, feeling like you're starting all over again and maybe you don't know who you are. So it takes a lot of awareness and self love and courage to allow yourself to be infinite and expansive and labellessness.
Yeah, and some of my favorite practices for non-attachment are actually getting into your body. So things like ecstatic dance and, putting music on and like letting the music, like I was saying this at the Mexico retreat, like making love with the music as a being that's like super open energetically. Like the music literally moves through and you can feel yourself get lost into that world, the person who's speaking, the frequency of their voice, the frequency of the music, like there's so much there and wisdom there and also activation codes within certain music that you can literally turn it on and get completely lost. Like if you can really let yourself go to fully immerse with that, like all bars removed of judging yourself, like is this a weird move or is this, you know crazy or whatever it is. Honestly, doing dance like that can really get you out of your head and into just being with that thing. And then of course, the song's over, right? The dance experience is over and you're not now this person who recorded that song or that frequency forever. It's like you had a moment where you fully immersed yourself in that and made love with that frequency. And then it's gone and you're coming back into neutral, if you will. And that practice alone is the practice of taking something on, really becoming it and wearing it, and not judging it or analyzing of like what should this be, but really just being with whatever's moving through you and then letting that go. So I recommend to find a playlist or to create a playlist that really moves you. We have so many playlists, by the way. I don't know why we haven't shared them, like, or how we could share them in a more public way, but we share them a lot with our besties. And we also share them a lot with our people who come to our retreats. We always give them all the playlists afterwards. But find a high vibe playlist or create one yourself and experiment with this, because it can help expand you and stretch that muscle of receiving, becoming, and then letting go.
And I love this metaphor that you've just kind of put out, or like this tool that you can use, because then for me, the next thing would be like not knowing what the next song is going to be and letting life bring it to you. And then just being surprised and delighted, like, oh shit, this is what we're dancing to now. And as
Yes.
a reflector, like that's the energy, that's your alignment. It takes so much bravery. Like, I can just say, in life, we feel like we're safe when we stay the same. We feel like we're safe, I put in quotes, when we hold on to something, we know what it is, we can label it, and we just stay there forever. For a reflector, that is toxic. That is going to give you so much not self. It's going to drain you to feel like you need to hold on to things and not just allow whatever comes next to come with excitement and enthusiasm.
Yes. I love it. I'm into it. I'm like, let me go do that right now.
And another really helpful thing for reflectors too, environment is so crucial for you as a reflector. And there's like this classic phrase in human design, if you're a reflector, that you're a canary in a coal mine, which I had to Google what that even was because I was not familiar with what a canary in a coal mine is when I first was learning about human design, which is honestly really kind of sad and messed up. But like when they were coal mining, they would put a canary in a cage down in the coal mine to see if the coal had carbon monoxide. And if the little canary would die or show signs of like poor health, they would know, and then the humans wouldn't go in there. So, this metaphor of why this is like a reflector is that our reflector's body and overall health is the gauge for the health and well being of the people around them. So, if you are a reflector, you're having health issues or autoimmune issues or issues with sleep, anything like that, your environment is impacting you so greatly that your body literally becomes a sponge. If there's toxicity in your environment, there will be toxicity in your body energetically. Now, that can feel really heavy, I think, to hear and to feel that and to be like, wow, that's a lot, right? But the one piece of discernment that you have, or that the piece of power that you have, is being discerning then about which environments you choose to spend time in. So that's something that's so important for reflectors. You love people so much. You can have so much compassion and empathy for people on a deeper level than anyone else can even understand. It can feel hard sometimes to honor your discernment. And like, I don't want to be in this environment. I don't feel like it's healthy. I don't feel healthy when I'm there. And so I know that the people there or the energy there is not healthy for me to spend time in. That is one of the most empowering things that you can trust and listen to. And, not being attached to the environment that you grew up in, not being attached to the environment that you've worked in for 5 years, or even the relationship you've been in, just because you're familiar with it and you've taken it in so deeply, doesn't mean that it's something that needs to define you if it doesn't feel healthy for you. So, that theme of non attachment even comes in with your environment, allowing yourself to break up with environments where you don't feel like your best self, and knowing that that's the thing that empowers you most. That's the place where you really get to choose your life. So instead of closing off your sensitivity and avoiding what you're feeling, open up your sensitivity, listen to what's there, but then take the action that's needed to stop putting yourself in places that are not feeling good for you.
Yes. And I think that it's important to say, like, as a reflector, yes, you are so open, but you don't need to protect yourself from other people. You're meant to feel them. And this is a big theme that we went over in Mexico, but we'll talk about more of that in our Mexico episode. But knowing that you're meant to be open, you are meant to feel the world, you're meant to feel environments and to reflect people and to be fully immersed, but then you are also meant to be discerning. And a lot of times that discernment gets left at the door, that um, we can tend to want to protect ourselves because maybe something we felt was really uncomfortable or made us sick or was toxic in our lives, and so we can want to not feel the world around us. But as a reflector, you're meant to feel it, but then say, okay, I'm now choosing not to be around that group of people all the time. I'm now choosing not to live in that environment or work in that space all the time. And instead, I'm going to put myself in places and once again gauge and feel, how do I feel here? Do I feel healthy? Do I feel clear? Do I feel um free, or do I feel confined? Do I feel like I have to protect myself? Do I feel sick? And what can I do to really change the people and places that I'm in? Um you have, your body's telling you so much all the time as a reflector, and it's, are you listening? Right? Are you paying attention? Are you letting go of that one time that you felt really good? Or are you trying to hold on to it, and now your identification and holding on to it with a death grip is literally killing you because it's not your reality that you're currently in right now? Really asking these deeper questions and tuning in to your body is so, so, so important.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. We love reflectors. We love sharing information about you all because you deserve the airtime just like all the other types. And for that reason, we are so grateful then to get to share this interview with a reflector herself, someone who can share their personal lived experience. So, okay, and so our next guest is a 2-4 lunar reflector, our only reflector in this series thus far. And we are so, so grateful to be here with her. And it's also a 2-4 party since all three of us share that in common. This is Kristen Kilberg. Kristen is one of our Costa Rica Reader Training family members, and it just feels so cozy and beautiful to be here with you. So thank you, Kristen, and welcome. And how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling so excited to do this. I already shared with both of you when we hopped on, but I just love being in the same space as you, whether that's energetically via Zoom, electronically, or like in person. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Yeah, we feel the same. Honestly, it's such a blessing anytime we get to be in your reflector presence, which you probably hear a lot. We try to tone it down with the reflector. Like any reflectors I have in my life, I'm so obsessed with them. And they're like, we know, Dana, can you back off? I'm like, oh, sorry. Wait for the invitation. Wait for the invitation. But I'd love to start out with you just introducing yourself to our audience members. Could you share with us a little bit about your human design offerings and in general, all that it is that you do and share and teach, and a bit about how you came to where you are now?
Absolutely. So, first fun fact about me is that I live in a tiny little town in Iowa. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. Like there's less than 300 people that live here.
Wow.
So yeah, we do live outside of one of like the bigger cities in Iowa, but it's still not like that big. Iowa is small. So being someone who's very into my spirituality and learning about myself and going on that journey isn't always easy because there's a lot of people around me who are like, you're doing what? Like, you're taking what training and you're going to do what with that? But it's been so expansive for me and it's just helped me align with what's meant for me in my life. So I'm so grateful for all the opportunities that I've had, even though, again, like I live in this tiny town where it's not the norm, quote unquote. And so, as far as my human design journey, I'll kind of speak to that before I talk about like my business and offerings. But it started early 2020, like right before the pandemic hit. I was in a Facebook group and I was just kind of scrolling through, and someone had brought up human design, and I'd never heard of it before. And everyone was commenting pictures of their charts. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Like, I know what my birth information is. Let's go on this site and let's plug it in. And I did. And then I got this graph that had no colors in it, like everybody else's did. And I was like, okay, hang on, something's not working. Went back in, like plugged it in again. I was like, what the heck? Like, where are the colors? This isn't fair. And so I went and I posted my chart like in the comments on that Facebook group, and everyone just kind of freaked out. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're a reflector. And they kind of started telling me about it. And at first, like the first thing was, okay, immediate knowing that this modality, this system is big and it's important and I need it in my life. But there was also this like immediate conditioning that came in of like, I've been spending these first 27 years of my life trying to be like everyone else. I'm not unique and special. I can't be of the 1%. And so it took some time, unshockingly, being a reflector, for me to really process and grasp that I am this super unique, rare being that came here with this very specific design to be very, very different from other people. Like that's one of my purposes in this lifetime, is to be different. So I went through a phase of like, did my parents take the wrong baby home from the hospital, or was like the wrong information on my birth certificate? Cause like, I just couldn't believe it. But then I started learning about it and I was like, oh my gosh, there's so many ties to everything that I know deeply to be my truth, even though I've been working so hard to change it. It's right here laid out in this system. In my specific chart, it's telling me like, this is what you're meant to be. Please just be this. So it was the kickstart to my deconditioning journey as I started learning all these different spirituality tools that I could use to just change my life for the better. And I'm so grateful because now I'm in the space of sharing it. And it kind of, again, it just kickstarted all these other things that I've been learning as well. And so with that, my human design business is called Authentically Limitless. You can find me on Instagram. And I started with just doing one-on-one sessions. And I was like, this is what we need more of. People really need to have this information. And that was great. And that led to, of course, doing like partner sessions or family sessions and things like that. And then I started wanting to get into things that were more like, what can I give people to kind of embody their design? And in human design, my cognition or my greatest sense is smell. And I've always loved essential oils. And so I started creating like specific essential oil blends. I call them embodied energy blends, that I look at your chart and I pull out big energies and I match them with the energy of essential oils. And I create a unique blend for you, which is one of my favorite things to do. And then I also just finished up a 3-month breathwork and meditation certification. And I'm going to start doing like quarterly group breathwork human design sessions. I've done one so far, and everyone that signed up got like a little piece of information about their human design based on the theme. Led a beautiful workshop that was amazing. So I'm going to keep doing those. And then I'm also going to start offering some like one-on-one. We do a session, you get the embodied energy blend, and then I create a breath work for you based on what we talked about in your session and what sticks out in your design. So I keep growing. Yeah. And it's so great.
Oh my gosh, I have full body chills hearing you share everything that you're doing, because that's amazing. Everyone listening is familiar. Well, maybe everyone listening is familiar with breathwork just by us sharing our breathwork journeys and how powerful that is. And obviously familiar with human design and how powerful that is. And pairing the two together and bringing in the tangible sensual side with those oils in a way that they can really help us and ground in these changes that we're making. I am obsessed. And of course, because you're a reflector, it's just so wholesomely, profoundly wise and uplifting and transformative. I'm just so excited. I did not know this. And I'm like, I want to just do a dance right now because I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. It was just one of those things that I started understanding, that even though human design itself is a tool to practice, we need more tools that we can use every day to align ourselves with our design so we feel more confident in it. And breathwork was one of those things for me that just instantly was like, yep, this is going to clear everything else out so that I can call in the energy of me and be myself. And then, like I said, I just love essential oils, and there's so much power to them that just made sense for me. So I'm excited to share it.
Amazing. Okay. So I'm curious to know if there was, I mean, obviously being a reflector is huge, finding that out, and that whole journey of discovering that you're a reflector, and then the conditioning, and then finding yourself within that and all of that. Is there any other specific aspect of your chart that you learned that was like, wow, this really has changed my life or impacted my life?
The biggest thing, I think the first thing that I really connected to on a really deep level was my profile, because I'm a 2/4. And it just gave me this permission slip of like, you no longer have to try to identify with being someone who's really introverted or really extroverted. You get to be both of those things, and you actually need to be both of those things. And I actually went for several months just assuming that anybody who was a reflector also had a 2/4 profile, because to me, it just made sense that all reflectors would be 2/4s, because they have to have time around other people to be social and feel into their energy. And then they also need that alone time to like disconnect. So it was just one of those things that I'm like, okay, this I know that I'm aligned with, because I've never been able to choose like all those personality tests, all those things you do in school. It's like, are you an introvert or are you an extrovert? And human design was like, well, you get to be both. And I just was so grateful for that, because that's what I've always felt. That was probably the biggest.
That is so true. I resonate with that so much. I have a specific memory of being in 7th grade, and we had to do this like art collage where you explained your personality. And I remember writing on it that I was mellow. Like that was like, I'm chill, like introverted. And then the next year in 8th grade, we had like a similar project. And then I was like, actually, I'm so lively and extroverted and love connecting with people. And I remember having like an identity crisis as a 13-year-old, being like, I thought I was that, and now I feel like I'm this. And so I guess I don't know who I am. And finding out the 2/4 in me, it's just like clicked so much. And I feel like I had a quantum healing moment. Like, since time is not linear, I went back to my little 7th and 8th grade self who was so lost, and just held her like, you're both right. And neither of you are wrong. And it's so freeing. It's so freeing to be able to give yourself that permission.
And also learning that the 2 is the conscious side, that yes, I resonate deeply with that, but maybe not everyone else sees that. Everyone else generally sees the 4, where they're like, but you're so social. What do you mean you want to stay in tonight? What do you mean you don't want to go out? Like, knowing that extra layer of it was also very freeing too.
Yeah. And that, it's so funny because like I see you as like you're always connecting with the other readers and like sharing all these amazing insights and creating all these amazing things. And then, that 2 side, which I feel as well, within myself, of like, no, I'm just trying to chill. I'm just trying to do my own thing. I'm just trying to be alone for a little bit. Finding that balance. And your profile as a reflector is so important. It's like extra important as a reflector because it's consistent about you.
Mhm.
And it can be, if you're just learning about human design and discovering you're a reflector, it can be like this grounding, like, I don't even know, like, I want to say like you, as if you're a ship on the ocean and it's like the steering. What is that? Is it a steering wheel? No. What is
Are you
the
talking
thing?
about the rudder? Are you talking about the
thing that
rudder?
steers the ship that looks like a steering wheel?
A steering wheel.
Is that what it's called?
I feel like there is a name for it, but I can't think of
like,
what it is right now.
I've
like
never been like, oh, grab the steering wheel of the boat. Like that's not
the helm. The
the
helm.
helm.
Is that it? That sounds right.
Someone
But is that just
listening
like the
is
front?
really into
Someone will
boats
tell
and
us.
they hate us.
I should know
let us
My
this,
husband would be like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, these idiots are teaching me. I'm just kidding.
I thought you were gonna say
experts.
I thought you were gonna say being a 2/4 is like, or when you're a reflector, knowing your profile is like your grounding rod,
Your
like
anchor.
No matter, your anchor.
That's
no
what I
matter
thought she was
what,
going
it's
with.
like I know that this is something that is consistent, because it can be overwhelming to be like you're everything and you're nothing, and every single day you're gonna change. It's like, okay, but also beyond that, you still have your own uniqueness too that you carry, your own unique frequency, your own unique path, your own unique purpose. And I think for reflectors, it's obviously such a huge quantum shift to find out that you're a reflector. But the second side of it is like, okay, tell me the things that I actually am, though, the things that are consistent for me. And that can be so freeing and illuminating.
It's funny kind of that you bring that up, because even when I do sessions, someone will be like, we'll get into their gates a lot. And then they'll be like, okay, what about this channel? I'm like, what? what about, oh yeah, you have those, don't you? Like,
oh
I
yeah,
don't
you
have
have
those.
channels.
And I'm like, yeah, let's dive into those. But it's just knowing that there are going to be parts of you that are really, really consistent. Like when I learned about gate 19, like on top of being a reflector, being so sensitive to the needs of other people, I was like, holy crap. Okay. So it's not everybody that can feel these things that I feel. Like this is a gift that I have that I'm meant to use.
Yes. Yeah, totally. When we do readings for reflectors, depending on how much information they know, because a lot of people come to us after they've already listened to our podcast. So we're like, do you know a lot about being a reflector? We'll kind of ask them questions and we'll just get right into their gates because we know that no one's ever told them these are the things that are unique about you. These are the things that are your purpose. I think that that's so beautiful. And I wanted to ask you, with reflectors and parenting advice, what was your experience like being a little reflector child in the world? And based off of that experience, and now you being a human design guide in this world, what is your advice to other people who have reflector children in their lives?
So I actually grew up in a family of all man gens and then me. So I was,
Wow.
so that was a huge part of my deconditioning journey, was just slow down. And I was very conditioned to respond, like be in the moment right here, right now. What are we doing? What do you want to do? And that always felt cloudy to me. Like I never felt sure of anything. Like I'd make a decision and then I'd be like, I don't know if that was the right one. And so I taught myself how to do that, how to force myself to make decisions in that way. And then finding out I was a reflector and having this freedom of take your time, slow down, let clarity come. And I think, Dana, it was you and I having this conversation on Instagram one day about people talking about like, oh, I wish in my next life I'd be this type. And I always have said from the beginning, like, I want to be a reflector again, but I want to have parents and siblings who understand my design and can honor it and can teach me to honor it. So I think my number one parenting advice would definitely be just learn about your child's design. Like obviously learn about you first, because you can't be an example for them if you're not energetically taking care of yourself. But if you just learn about how different they are and let them be different from you and let them kind of take the lead on what feels good, what feels right, what feels healthy, and what doesn't, that is going to give them so much confidence as they grow and learn to just be that authentic being that they came here to be.
Yes. Honestly, it gives me chills to hear you say that you would choose to be a reflector again in a next life, but with a family who understands you. The reason that it gives me chills is because you are such a powerful guide in this space. I love the way you articulate things. I think you're just brilliant. And I know that you're helping so many people to know that their child is a reflector. Like the change that you want to experience is something that you're already facilitating in the world. And you're getting amazing karma from that. And you're definitely going to come back, and whatever your next life is going to be, trust me, it's going to be amazing because you're such an angel in so many people's lives. And yeah, it's interesting. The reflector child. We were just talking to someone that was at like a human design gathering, and they did this experiment where they put different types in the room so that you could feel the energetics of like only projectors. What does that feel like, etc. And they were saying that they did a room with like all generators and man gens, and then when the reflector would come in, they all felt like because they were scared to be felt and seen without any boundaries by this reflector. And I noticed the people in my life with a reflector child, it's like that reflector's child's sensitivity and wisdom is so powerful that if the adult is not ready to see the things that are not working in their life, and in general, if someone is not ready to see their reflection in a reflector, that's a lot. So for a parent to recognize that their child's sensitivity is this very, very special, sacred, powerful superpower, and to embrace that and to give space for it and to like cherish it is transformational for everyone involved. But I think that our world is just so overstimulating, so fast, so loud, that the wisdom of the reflector is something that we can learn so, so much from. But yeah, I think it's interesting that feeling of a reflector sees you like no one else because it's like this they see you in an embodied way. And to see your reflection back in a reflector is truly such a gift.
To go off of that, something that I tell people that's been so helpful in learning about my design is what I like to call like the energetic wall or block. When you meet someone or you're around someone and there's just this like energetic force that you're like, I can't connect with you. I've learned that it's because I'm a reflector and because they're not ready to receive what I'm going to reflect. And that
Yeah.
is something that I've had to just give myself this permission slip to step back and be like, you're not going to connect and bond with that person like you genuinely want to because they're not ready for what you can energetically give. And that has been huge for me in finding my people, my tribe. And then when someone's ready and I meet them again and things have shifted, maybe it feels different, but I no longer try to force it. And I'm so grateful for that.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And I think so helpful for any reflectors listening. So, the next thing I wanted to ask you when it comes to being a reflector, what do you see as the greatest misconceptions that people have around reflectors?
So, in my experience, I think the biggest misconception is that we are fake. Because when we're around different groups of people or one on one or what different environments, it could be anything, somebody knows you as the reflection of themselves. And then you go be around somebody else and they're like, well, why were you saying this? Or why were you acting like that? And it's like, we amplify the energy that we're around, whether it feels really good or it doesn't feel very healthy and very good, we're going to amplify that. And so, this is one of the biggest reasons why I am so passionate about teaching and sharing human design, because if everybody just knew and honored and practiced living by their design and accepted that we're all different and we all have different energy, I wouldn't have to explain to people why I'm different around different groups of people. And so that's like a whole nother rabbit hole that I could go down. But I think that is the biggest misconception, is that we're fake and we're different around different people. That part is true because we're amplifying and mirroring different energy, but we're not fake. We're just being genuinely authentic in the moment that we're in.
Yeah, that is fascinating to hear you reflect on that experience because I haven't thought about it from the lens of like being at a party or being with a friend that you're always around and then being with them at like a different situation and feeling that pressure of like or even that expectation of who they feel you are, which is really a reflection of them, and then now morphing into this different environment and how you can feel like which one do I need to be, or like how are they expecting me to show up, and of course liberating yourself to be authentic in that moment and be weird or overly expressive or removed or whatever it is that you're really feeling, you're amplifying. Like the trust and the commitment it takes to show up authentically differently every single day, I think is um like the deepest marriage to yourself that you could do, like the deepest commitment that I think only is truly to the depths of experience that could be had is with a reflector. I don't know how to say that, but like is only like is felt the deepest by
Mm-hmm.
reflectors because of all of your openness and like the requirement it takes to really let yourself be free without limits. Freedom requires a lot of trust. And it's like only something that you can give to yourself. And then you notice, oh, wait, I'm not letting myself be free in this way or that way or this way or that way. And then you do. And it's like a constant journey of like liberating yourself even more throughout your life, which is so beautiful, but requires commitment.
Yeah, it's something that you cannot even process and understand until you just allow yourself to do it. And freedom was my word of the year, is my word of the year for 2023. And feeling into freedom in my design to be myself was not one of the intentions I had when I set that word, but has showed up so much. And I've just been like, well, that's the lesson that I've meant to learn from like this word coming in over and over and over again. So I love that you brought that up.
Yes. Yes. Amazing. Okay. So where can people learn from you? Where can they find you? Become a client, get all of your amazing reflections that you just emit all the time. Where can they find you?
I am on Instagram right now, authentically_limitless. And someday soon, I'm going to have a website, but I'm blocking myself from like moving forward with that. So soon it's going to happen.
Okay, amazing. So Instagram, and they also can find you on our list of recommended readers on daylunalife.com, where they can read your bio and find your links and everything. We're going to link everything below in the show notes too. But lastly, before we go, is there anything that you just want to leave the listeners with? Anything that you've been observing or reflecting on lately, or insight that's on your heart right now?
So for reflectors, something that I've been really feeling lately and experimenting with is this idea that we are here to receive. And that's not coming from this like ego standpoint of I'm just meant to take and receive and not give anything. But we're literally here on this 3D planet to receive energy. And that might not always feel good, but just really take note of everything that you receive every day and start noticing, does it feel good? Does it feel healthy or not? And when you start tuning into that and being really honest and you start following those things that feel good and healthy that you're receiving, you're then able to give back in a really supportive and healthy way. And this has been something that I've been learning the past few months, and it's been huge for my journey.
Mm, amazing. That's incredible wisdom and insight, of course. Um, wow, I love it. And honestly, myself, I only have two centers to find, so I have so much openness. And I think for anyone that anywhere that you're open, that's such a great message in general for everyone listening of how to like pay attention to what you're receiving. But obviously, times a million as a reflector. Um, that's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, and I just wanted to say, I learned so much from you about being a reflector. Like, I just feel really grateful that your life has guided you to be in this place that you are, because there's nothing like the real thing, for someone to have that energy type and to make those reflections. I often hear you say things that it's like, I just never really thought of it in that way. And your lived experience is so clear. So I'm just really, really excited for other reflectors to learn from you, but also that all of the people that get to learn from you and see their clear reflection within you. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your voice with us and your energy with us today. And yeah, we're so grateful for all of our listeners to be able to continue to learn from you.
Thank you for being you and giving me the wisdom and knowledge that I needed to feel confident to share it and to live it. So it's a cycle.
Always, 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 always. It's literally, I think, the only thing we're here for. So we love you. Thank you so much. Gosh, we just love Kristen. She's incredible. And we have spent so much time with her in Costa Rica and also in Mexico. And we've gotten to learn from her and connect with her over the years. And truly, every time I'm in her presence, I just learn so much and I love her. So I'm just so grateful that we could share on this platform. This is like literally why we're here. We say that every time. It brings me so much joy. But you know where you can connect with us on our platforms, daylunalife.com, also on Instagram at dayluna. And we'd love to hear your reflector experience because obviously it's different for every single person. So if you are in besties, reach out on Circle, let us know how your reflector experience has been. And we are just sending you all so much love, so much ease, so much expansion in a way that doesn't feel pressure but feels flowing and open, and what's the word I'm looking for, just completely like drifting on a breeze, a butterfly on a breeze. That is what I'm sending you this week, being a butterfly on a breeze. We love you so much. Thank you for tuning in with us today. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe to follow along and learn more about human design.